Ethan Cole walked into St. Mary's Hospital with a single purpose: to end his marriage. The divorce papers felt heavier than they should in his hands. Outside, the Chicago night buzzed with life, but inside him, everything was cold, controlled, and already decided. Or so he thought. He had built his life like a fortress. CEO of a rising tech company, disciplined, respected, untouchable. Love, to him, had become a distraction. And Lily Carter, his wife, had slowly turned into a chapter he believed was already over, quietly fading into the past. Their marriage hadn't ended with a fight. It had ended with silence, missed calls, late nights, unspoken words stacking like walls between them. Ethan convinced himself she stopped caring. It made things easier, cleaner, less painful to walk away without looking back. But the moment he stepped into the dim hospital corridor, something shifted. The smell of antiseptic, the quiet urgency of nurses rushing by. It wasn't his world, and yet somehow it felt like he had just walked into something he wasn't prepared to face. He approached the front desk, ready to ask for Lily, but before he spoke, his eyes caught something that froze him in place. Down the hall, under harsh fluorescent lights, was a woman in blue scrubs, her hair tied messily, shoulders slightly slumped. It was Lily. She looked thinner, exhausted, different, but unmistakably her. She was pushing a cart, moving slowly, like every step required effort. Ethan's grip tightened around the papers. This wasn't the life he had imagined she would be living after him. He followed her without thinking, something inside him refusing to leave. She stopped at a patient's room, took a deep breath, and forced a small, professional smile before stepping inside. Ethan stood outside the door, watching, feeling something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Minutes later, she stepped out again, and that's when he saw it. Her hand instinctively rested on her stomach, not casually, not absent-mindedly, protectively. Ethan's heart skipped. His mind tried to reject what his eyes were clearly seeing, but there was no denying it. Lily was pregnant, and suddenly, everything he thought he knew began to collapse in seconds. "Lily?" His voice came out quieter than expected. She turned. Shock washed over her face. Not anger, not relief, just pure, stunned disbelief, like she had seen a ghost she wasn't ready to confront. For a moment, neither of them moved. The distance between them felt heavier than miles. "What are you doing here?" she finally asked, her voice steady, but tired. Ethan looked down at the papers, then back at her. The words felt meaningless now. "I came to talk." Her eyes flickered to the documents. She understood immediately. A faint, almost invisible smile appeared, but it wasn't happiness. It was acceptance. Like she had already prepared herself for this moment long ago. "You didn't have to come all this way," she said softly. "You could have mailed them." That hurt more than he expected. "I didn't know." He hesitated, glancing at her stomach. "Lily, are you—" She closed her eyes briefly, then nodded. "Yes." One word, but it shattered him. Ethan's mind raced. "Why didn't you tell me?" She let out a quiet breath, leaning against the wall as if she no longer had the strength to stand straight. "Because you were already leaving, Ethan, and I didn't want to be the reason you stayed out of obligation." "That's not fair," he said quickly, emotions rising. "No," she replied gently. "What wouldn't be fair is forcing you into a life you didn't choose." Her words cut deep because they carried truth, the kind he had been avoiding for months. Ethan looked at her again. Really looked this time. The exhaustion, the loneliness, the quiet strength she carried without him. "You're working nights?" he asked, noticing the dark circles under her eyes. She nodded. "2 jobs, actually. That hit harder than anything else." "Why?" His voice cracked. "You didn't have to do this alone." She gave a small, tired smile. "Didn't I?" Silence fell between them again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything unsaid, regret, guilt, realization. Ethan felt something inside him begin to break, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. "I thought you stopped loving me," he admitted. Lily looked at him, surprised. "Ethan, I never stopped." Those words landed like a storm. "I just stopped fighting someone who had already given up," she added softly. Ethan swallowed hard. He had no defense, no excuse strong enough. All the late nights, the distance, the emotional walls. He had built them himself, then blamed her for standing on the other side. "I was wrong," he said finally, "about everything." She didn't respond immediately. Maybe she needed to hear more. Maybe she needed to believe it. "I thought success meant control," he continued, "that emotions made me weak. But standing here, seeing you like this, I've never felt more powerless in my life." Lily's eyes softened just slightly. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said, "and I don't deserve it, but I can't walk away now, not knowing what I know." She studied him carefully, as if trying to decide whether this was real or just another moment that would disappear. "You already walked away once," she said quietly. "I know," he whispered, "and it's the biggest mistake I've ever made." A long pause. Hospital monitors beeped faintly in the distance, life and loss continuing all around them, indifferent to their moment. But for Ethan, everything had narrowed down to this hallway, this woman, and the life growing between them. "I don't need you to stay because of the baby," Lily said. "I'm not staying because of the baby," he replied. She looked at him, searching his face. "I'm staying because I still love you," he said, "and I was too blind to see that losing you would cost me everything." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. "You hurt me, Ethan," she whispered. "I know," he said, his voice breaking, "and I'll spend the rest of my life making that right, if you let me." For the first time, her walls began to crack, not completely, not instantly, but enough. "I can't promise anything," she said honestly. "I'm not asking for promises," he replied, "just a chance." Another silence, but this one felt different, softer. "Hopeful." Lily glanced down at her stomach, then back at him. "This changes everything," she said. Ethan nodded. "Then let's face everything, together." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't a perfect ending. But it was a beginning. And sometimes that's all love really needs.